Good morning, guys. It is Thursday, December 22nd, and this is Newswave. So very quickly before I get started, I wanted to kind of touch on the Switch Unreal Engine 4 stuff I was talking about yesterday, where I talked about how they found out that the Switch was in the Unreal Engine 4 recently. They updated it, and the Switch settings and config files all showed up. And I talked about it a little bit, but I wanted to point you guys over to an interesting article that popped up where it's from pvplive.net. What they did was they actually had a developer who's had experience with things like Epic Games, stuff like that. They actually had a quick Q&A with them, just asked them questions about what different parts of it meant and what we could expect from it. What I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to link you guys to it, but it's pretty cool. He goes down, and every line of code, he kind of talks about what it means, draw distance, shaders, all kinds of cool stuff like that. So I'll leave it down in the description. You guys could check it out. It's a cool read. I'd recommend it if you're interested at all in the Unreal Engine 4 or what the Switch could be capable of. So Mario Run, despite a lot of people's feelings towards it, has actually been rather successful for Nintendo. It's actually jumped to the top of the sales charts on all over the iOS and everything, and you're going to see it at the top of like gross sales, free downloads, everything pretty much. And I think it was expected for free downloads, definitely, because free downloads, you can pretty much go in there, it'll count it as soon as you hit the download button and it completes it. It'll count it even if you don't pay for it. But what's interesting is it's actually jumped ahead of a lot of the gross selling games like Clash of Clans, for example, or Clash Royale, whatever that's called now. And it's interesting to see that. Now, what happened was it's had 40 million downloads, and analysts are saying out of the 40 million, they've probably made about 16 million. I think they're expecting a 4% return. Basically, everyone that downloads it, 4% of the pool of free downloads has paid for the game. That's what they're estimating, and which would put it somewhere around 16 million earned in the first 4 days on the market. That's pretty good, actually, considering the sales are pretty strong there. It's going to really come down to its longevity, because Nintendo has come out and said that they are not adding any more levels, paid or free at this point, or any kind of updates towards it. The only time they'd probably update is if there was some kind of like game-breaking bug that's been found, and that would just be more of like a free patch that they just put out for that. It's not going to be any more content. And despite the $16 million in sales that have been projected and kind of earned at this point, the stock for Nintendo continues to fall, and a lot of people are talking about this being from Nintendo's unwillingness to put out a free-to-play game that will earn money like in the future. Basically a free-to-play game, as long as you keep up with it and make it addictive, and you target that 1% of people that will just dump crazy amounts of money in, usually you're going to continue to make money. Whereas Mario Run appears to be a game that they're putting out, it will sell through, and then I assume they will put another Mario game out. It's not going to be a game that will be around for a while in terms of making a lot of money. It's not going to stay at that top of that sales chart for a long time. It'll probably be gone in a couple weeks from there, and it'll drop way down because you don't put any more money into it after that. So, of course, this has people who are buying and selling stocks a little worried, seeing that Mario Run probably won't have a lot of legs to it overall. After, so many months, it'll eventually really just disappear. So I think what we're seeing with the stock dropping off are just people who are selling out of their stock, getting out of it, basically. I think they probably bought it heading up to the release of Mario Run, and they were hoping that there would be either two things. There'd be a big boom in sales and then a big return, or that there would be a bigger conversion rate, I think, for the free downloads. Of course, there was a lot of free downloads, but the conversion rate at 4% seems kind of low, I think, for what their expectations were. They're probably buying in, hoping that this initial burst of Mario being on a new platform, essentially, would get them more money or make the sale or the stock rise from people buying into it. But if you take away the whole stock dropping thing, Mario Run's been actually pretty successful overall, considering it still has not released on the Android marketplace, which there's a lot of Android devices out there. Even compared to iPhones, there are more Android devices out there, whether it be tablets or just cell phones in general. So if it comes out on Android, I could see it selling again, nice little boom like that. But it's really going to come down to if Nintendo is going to stick to this pay once and you get it mentality. I don't mind it. I really don't. I actually think it's better than free-to-play, only because the amount of money I dump into some of my free-to-play games, like I said, I'm really into Dokkan Battle, and I put more money into that than I should. I definitely have put way more than $10 into it, which is what Mario Run would have been. If Dokkan Battle came out and I had just paid $10 for it, I probably would have saved a lot of money. I probably would have been able to buy another PS4 or something at this point, which is sad, but that's over a year of playing it. But consider that. I mean, I know a lot of people don't want to pay for their downloads when they get a game. They just want to download it, like Candy Crush Saga or something, play it for a little while, and then be done with it. I think Nintendo really wants to bring this you buy it, you pay it for once, and you get it mentality to the cell phone market. I just don't know if it's going to be easy to do that, considering most people are just so entrenched in their either $1 buys, $1 to $2 buys, or they're download it for free and I'll throw, a couple bucks at it every now and then to get, whether it be gems or stones or cut down on time. It's this mentality that a lot of them have right now. It's going to be very hard for Nintendo to break it, even with their characters. And today, the 22nd, 2 new demos came out on the PS4. You can go download them, should be able to download them now. Gravity Rush 2, the new demo for that's out, and the new demo for Nier, Automata, is out now as well. So you can go download either of those and just see what you think. I'm definitely going to download the new Nier. Gravity Rush 2, I'm less excited for, although I probably download that over the weekend when I have some time, but I will definitely check out Nier because I played that on the PS3, liked it. It was a cool little third-party RPG or third-person RPG, and I will certainly be checking this Nier Automata out today. And that E3 trailer for God of War for the PS4, developers actually came out and said, hey, if this gets to 15 million views, we'll release more information. So now everybody is trying to watch the God of War trailer over and over again in attempts to get it to 15 million views. Now, what they're going to tell us, we're not sure. It could be another trailer, it could be gameplay, it could even be story-driven. There's a lot of stuff they could release to us. This God of War game on the PS4 is like super anticipated. People love God of War, myself included. I'm a big fan of it. I played all of them. I was a big fan of it on the PS2. I loved God of War 2 in particular, although the ending kind of sucked, but I did like it a lot. I will look into this God of War trailer, I guess, whenever they release something, but 15 million, as of now, I think it's at like 14.5 million, so I think by the weekend, we should have some new information from them. Probably maybe Christmas weekend we'll have it, so I'll look forward to it and I'll let you guys know if it pops up. Of course, I'll report it here. And Nintendo has effectively shut down another Pokemon game. Now, I'm interested in this one in particular because it's taken so long to shut it down. It's a fan-made game. It's called Pokemon Prism, and it's been in development for about 8 years. It's one person making it, and honestly, they did an outstanding job on it. It's a real shame that we will never have the finished product because he was going to release it this weekend. It was going to be released on Christmas weekend, and it looked amazing. If you have not seen it, they did a whole Twitch plays kind of to show it off to us, like a little demo thing, and it was very cool. There were some awesome features to it too. They had things like you're going to get 20 badges, like instead of the typical 8, you're going to get 20, and it ran at full 60 frames per second, which is really, really cool. And it had you customize your character. You literally change your character around, like their hat, you could change around their hair, their outfits and everything. And then you could also, which was interesting to me, I saw this, you could actually play as your Pokemon, which was, I had no idea how that was going to work. These were all, like, that was a feature I really would have liked to check out, but Nintendo came in, they shut it down. This is common for these companies to do this. The only one I've seen that really doesn't do this is Sega. Now, Nintendo had to shut this down, unfortunately, because their intellectual properties are being used in a way that they have not approved, and it happens. I remember, I did a lot of, like, reproduction carts. I used to make them a lot, the Super Nintendo ones, and games like Chrono Trigger Crimson Echoes was shut down by Square, and it's going to happen when you use their IPs. They're almost obligated to do it because you're developing it. Even if you're not going to sell it, you're still using their characters to make a game and release it to a mass audience, and there were a lot of people looking forward to this. I kept seeing it pop up over the past 2 years, and I was like, oh, that'll be cool whenever it's done, and it was going to be done, but Nintendo just had to crush it, I guess, and it was so close to release. But if you want to take a look, there is, I think, a trailer out now. I've probably been playing it this whole time while I've been talking to you, if I could find it. Unfortunately, a lot of the trailers have been taken down as well, and if you look at his site, he pretty much had to take the site down, left a PDF of the cease and desist that they sent him. The lawyer, apparently it was Nintendo of Australia, of all places, that sent him a cease and desist, but he left that up there. Basically, it said thank you to all his fans, and then it's just a black screen with those two things. So it's kind of sad, but if I can find a copy of the trailer, I'll at least play some of it here for you guys. so you can see what the game looked like. It was based on Pokemon Gold, and he was basically releasing a ROM patch, not the actual ROM. Usually, if you just release a patch, you can get away with it. They've been doing it with things like Super Mario, and even other Pokemon games have done it as well. So it's unfortunate Nintendo decided to go after this person after actually spending 8 years of their life developing it. And if you're a fan of any of the Atlus games that have been coming over to the United States, a lot of the JRPGs, Persona, things they've been doing, you'll actually be really happy to know that they're releasing a new game based in like a fantasy world, and it's going to be like a JRPG. So what's happened is Atlus has actually established a new internal studio. It's called Studio Zero. And their first project is actually going to be headed by the Persona team, and the game itself is, right now, it's just codenamed Project Re Fantasy, and this was all taken from the latest issue of Famitsu. It was translated and everything, and they found all of these different statements showing that Atlus is going to be releasing a new IP. It's going to be like an RPG set in a fantasy world, and it's awesome to see the Persona series people actually come in and develop their own new game. I really like the idea of this, and I'm always for JRPGs. I just hope it shows up here. There's no word if it's going to come out here. They've only released even one like concept art piece that I'll show you here, but I'm always a big fan of JRPGs. I always like just kind of playing through them, and I'll be keeping an eye on this one. I'll let you guys know if anything else new pops up about it, but until then, I guess just keep an eye. It looks like they're announcing most of it in Famitsu, and we'll see if there's any gameplay trailers that eventually pop up here. And if you're hoping we're going to get a good video game movie, especially one that's well received by critics, when Assassin's Creed came out yesterday, you might have to kind of wait a little longer, because it came out and it has generally unfavorable reviews, especially on like Metacritic. It's sitting at 36, and overall it's not very good is what they're saying. And I was hoping something would come out that would break this string of video game movies that come out that aren't good, and Assassin's Creed really has not done that, unfortunately. Now, of course, this is just critical opinion from critics. You may go see it, you might like it, that's fine. I want a game to be turned into a movie that would come out and that would actually do well in the box office. You know, it's tough to see, or even just reviewed well. It's tough to see these video games that I don't know why they just don't translate well to movies. I actually think Assassin's Creed, I've thought about this a little bit, would have done better as like a TV series. I haven't seen Assassin's Creed, but I feel like the amount of story that you can tell is too much for even 1 or 2 or 3 movies. I think if you have like a long series of episodes, you could actually get a lot of story out of it based on all the history they try to tackle in the games and the characters they try to develop and everything. It would have been so great to have like a full series of like episodes for a TV series with that, maybe like on HBO or Stars or something like that, just because then you don't have to worry about being like, you know, censored or cut up or anything. But unfortunately, it did not turn out well. It probably didn't release at a good time either, since Rogue One came out recently, so it's been kind of buried. And it came out on a Wednesday, which is an odd day to release, but I don't know. We'll see how the numbers come out for it, see if it does well at the box office, but unfortunately reviews are saying it's just not a very good movie. And Superdata Research actually came out with an entire chart, graph, all the information about digital sales and how well they did overall with video games. Now, if you're worried video games are on decline or anything like that, don't worry. They made, apparently, games altogether, this is just digital sales, did $91 billion this past year. That is a lot of money. And what's great is they actually broke it down into like all the different categories, and I'll actually show you here on the screen. Basically, there is obviously the leader is mobile games. I think we've known that for a while, that mobile games make the most money. It's not a secret, because they are adding in free-to-play games that just hammer people's wallets. I mean, you have like obviously Clash of Clans is in there, which is super popular. I'm sure Candy Crush is still really popular, and just any of the other clones that come out that are like that, where you end up spending $1 or $2 at a time. They're going to get money in the doors there. But from there, you do see that PC gaming also brought in a lot of money, mostly because that also includes any subscription services from digital, including World of Warcraft, anything like that, Eve, any of those games that pull in money consistently, even if it has like a cash shop, it's going to be counted here. Consoles did $6.6 billion, which is not bad considering you're buying $60 games at a time. Maybe you get them on sale for $20 or $30. But that's only digital. That's not including physical. And I know games, console games in particular, are still in that weird in-between period where people are still buying physical as well as digital. It's not like PC where you're pretty much all digital now with the PC. Most people don't even put disk drive, like CD-ROM drives, DVD-ROM drives in their computers anymore because they just don't buy physical games anymore. The big surprise on this chart is how well VR did. VR actually came in at 2.7 billion, which is pretty good considering that's for the Oculus Rift, the Vive, and then I guess Sony's would still be counted in this. But here's the interesting thing about that. I mean, Sony's headset didn't come out until October, so they really only had about 2.5 months counted into this. Vive and Oculus, of course, been around the entire year. But to show that VR is actually at 2.7 billion already, that's pretty good. And I could actually see it kind of rising throughout the next year, especially if Microsoft does come out with Scorpio, and that is more VR driven. I have a feeling, though, that with Scorpio, you're going to be able to use either headset, the Vive or the Oculus Rift, but they do have that agreement and that kind of that stake in Oculus, so I could see them sticking with that. But because it will be running Windows, basically a version of Windows, it could support Vive as well. And esports pulled in just about $1 billion. It was just under $1 billion, and that one's interesting because that's more like revenue, betting, all of that stuff, ticket sales, I guess, anything like that. And that's actually not bad considering a lot of people still kind of see esports as like they kind of scoff at esports. It's not like an actual thing, but I mean, it pulled in almost $1 billion. That's got to be something. And if you're at all curious about the power that the Switch could have, keep an eye on CES 2017. That's the consumer trade show, basically, where they show off all of like the new tech that's coming out, whether it be TVs, VR glasses, Roombas. It doesn't matter. If it's electronic and it's new and it's cutting edge, it's going to be at this show. The big thing, however, though, is that Nvidia is showing off their new Shield or Android TV system, and they're going to come in two varieties. There's going to be one that's pretty small. It's actually about the size of the remote, standard size, but there's one that's going to be larger, and they have not told us at all what's going to be in these systems. I have a feeling these are going to have newer chips that may be closer to like the Parker chip, like Pascal based, and it may, I mean, I'm not saying that's the exact chip that's going to be in the Switch or even close to it, but it'll give us an idea of how the Tegra is evolving. And if you're a big fan of Nintendo, you need to keep an eye on the mobile processor, the system on a chip Tegras, because as they evolve, the working relationship with Nintendo and Nvidia could start to show that you'll see those show up in maybe a revised Switch, maybe in a new 3DS down the road, or maybe even a new console other than those. We just don't know where Nintendo's head is right now with all of that, but you definitely want to keep an eye on where these Tegras are going. CES 2017 is your best bet to see a new Pascal-based Tegra. CES 2017 actually starts on January 5th, ends January 8th. It's going to be in Las Vegas. I would just keep an eye on your favorite technology-based website, blog, YouTube channel. You can come see me. I'll have it too. I'll talk about it. And we'll just see what's going on with these shields. NVIDIA is known very well to start throwing specs around, and really, because they like to show how strong they've made something. So I expect to see everything about these shield boxes there, and they'll tell us all about the processor, the GPU, everything. And that might give us a little bit of a look into what the Switch could be. So keep an eye on that. Like I said, first week in January, we should know something. And that's going to do it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff. And keep an eye out this weekend. I'm going to do some Christmassy stuff. We're going to have hopefully a couple of videos. I do have one that's going to be kind of a comedy one, and then I have one that I kind of want to try to get my wife on camera if I could. So keep an eye out this weekend. That might be one we post on Christmas. Otherwise, guys, I will see you next time.